Higher Education and Finance by Stephen Terry Sr. First issue I want to deal with is enrollment and the mission of the institution. The key issue I find with higher education finance is the ability of institutions to remain true to their mission to educate students when their existence depends on enrollment. Historically, many colleges have received state funded based on how many full time equivalent students are enrolled at the beginning of the semester. Great incentive to gain more students on the campus. This model provides incentives for colleges to enroll students and thus provide access to post secondary education. But this model does not necessarily provide incentives for institutions to help students successfully complete their degree program. The resources and energy pumped into the fanfare of recruitment can limit the creativity of engaging students once they are on campus. There needs to be someone walking them through or perhaps making sure they have a clear roadmap and path to the future. The mission to graduate students from college is the challenge for all institutions to really proclaim we've been successful. Enrollment and performance based funding. Past experience with performance funding have led to identification of best practices. States that are interested in developing a performance-based funding model may consider the put enough funds at stake to create an incentive for institutions to improve results and decide whether the funds will come from new money or base funds. Most states are putting aside 5 to 25% of higher education dollars for performance funding. Allow post secondary institutions with different missions to be measured by different standards. For example, research universities could be, could be rewarded for research and development performance, while community colleges could be rewarded for workforce training results. Either way, those performance based incentives, it leads to the outcome and not just getting the students into the universities. Engage all stakeholders, policymakers, higher education leaders, and faculty members in a design of the funding system. Phase in the performance funding systems to make the transition easier. Keep the funding formula simple with unambiguous metrics so expectations are clear to everybody. And so, helping or allowing the staff to participate in what performance are needed really to help students to graduate adds to that incentive program. That's a real incentive because the faculty and the staff they're working on needs to be performed. Maintain focus on goal or improving college completion while rewarding both progress and success. States can reward colleges not only for increased degree production, but also for retaining students year to year and for helping students transfer between institutions. Include a measure to reward colleges that graduate low income, minority, and adults to ensure that institutions keep serving these populations. Align the funding formula with state economic and workforce needs by providing performance funding to those colleges that are graduating students in high priority fields. Preserve academic quality by incorporating student learning measurements into the performance funding system. One of the things that I like about this performance-based funding is not only are you helping the institution to graduate students, however, the additional piece you have for the workforce right in that community, if they are helping to employ those students once they complete, it helps everybody, the community, the student, as well as the institution. With the American Recovery Reinvestment Act, a lot of things changed in the world of higher education and funding, and that's why it's the greatest challenge for me. Pell Grants, $15 billion, also a mandatory funding increase of 1.47 billion. While even those awards that were being raised 10% in 2009-10, and then college work study 20% increase. One of the things that the next graph kind of shows us is what happens is this Recovery Reinvestment Act is only temporary. And so anyone who based a large portion of their new staff on this fund within the 2 years that it was available, or at such a high amount, they would actually come out on the losing end. Again, one of the things that many institutions were able to do is to focus on college completion, create new 5-year, 2.5 billion access and completion incentive fund to support innovative state efforts to help low-income students succeed and complete their college education. Really, we're helping ourselves. We really are participating in our own rescue, is what the Recovery Act afforded many communities. But as you see, if you go back to 2002, the percentage change in educational departments of the discretionary fund, you go from 2002, where there's 15.4%, 2006, where there's a terrible drop to negative 1.6%. Then 2009, when everything is about to change for the Reinvestment Act, when everything was on the bottom, that fund, I mean, 181.1% is amazing as it goes through those 2 years, but then it drops way down and sort of flat if we go by the trend line. However, again, those are funds that could not be counted on. The good thing is, by the time we look from 2010 to 2014, we actually are well above that 2.7 in 2008, which began the decline. However, I believe that finances and funding is going to remain a challenge for education.